I would like to show you this memoir, this biography of Larry Kaufman that is famous because obviously he spent a lifetime in chess, but he is one of the programmers of Commodore, and Commodore is probably the second engine, right, behind the Stockfish. And in this book you will find many games that he has played against major players like Hikaru Nakamura, Irina Krush, and of course also some games that came from his senior world championship which he won, making the grandmaster norm, or the grandmaster title, more than norm. He is also famous for playing Shogi and Go. Shogi is Japanese chess. Go is this ancient game invented in China that was also brought to Japan, and that is kind of more difficult than chess, right? Also, if it's made by stones, so one would think it should be easier, instead it is not. With all of this said, the memoir is very interesting because it details also the growth of neural networks, chess programs, the engines. It really shows also games from Commodore. It's really interesting. And of course there are a lot of interesting anecdotes, because when you have been for a lifetime in chess, obviously you have met Kasparov, Spassky, all these personalities, all these old players from all times that are kind of very interesting, right? So without further ado, like they say, let me show you some of the games. The first game I'd like to show you comes from chapter 17, that is about memorable games. And white player is Andrew Soltis. Andrew Soltis is very famous because he has practically published tons of books, Chess Master Checklist, How to Swindle in Chess, you name it, he has written a book about it, and he has written very beautiful books. He has a very interesting prose. Is very easy to understand. He points out stuff that is really great. So obviously I'm very happy to show you this game. Also, if Andrew Soltis lost the game, he was white, while Larry Kaufman was black. It was played in Chicago in 1973. Now, Larry Kaufman points out, it seems that Soltis got his GM title in 1980. I thought it was before 1980 because there was a famous game played against Fischer, and so I thought he was already grandmaster. But Larry Kaufman also writes down that it took him another 28 years in order to get the grandmaster title that he got after Soltis in 2008. Okay, so Chicago 1973. Soltis opened with e4 and Kaufman plays c5. Knight f3. Oops, sorry. Knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, a6, and this is with bishop c4 is what is called the Fischer-Sozin attack. It seems that Kaufman says now he's gone out of style, while in 1973 obviously it was whatever or what every player played because Fischer played it. Okay, e6, bishop b3, b5, castle, bishop e7, queen f3, queen b6, bishop e3, and queen b7. And obviously, probably this game is being analyzed with Komodo. I don't know why, but because here it puts a diagram after queen b7. In the game, Salt is played a3, but here he writes queen g3. And it seems that there is a line that is the modern way to handle this opening. Modern way means that the computer gave the line, okay? That's what modern means. A3. While in 1973, obviously they didn't have an engine to help them. Castle, rook a d1, knight c6, bishop g5, bishop d7, queen g3, rook f d8, and knight f3. It seems that rook fe1 was better and give equality. Again, the comment is very cryptic. Why this gives equality and blah blah blah. And then why you didn't put that this is dubious then if it gives black an advantage. Again, the art of analyzing is not only to use an engine, but is also to give you an idea of why some moves are good or bad. If you just put a symbol, it's difficult to understand. After knight f3, he played knight e8. And it seems that better was rook ac8. Again, who knows why? Because it doesn't tell us. Bishop takes e7, knight takes e7, rook f e1, rook a c8, and knight d4. Here he gives this line saying that it brings equality, but again he doesn't explain how he found it, which version of Komodo he was using, for how long, etc, etc. These things are kind of important, okay? e5. This seems to lose a pawn, but the game shows that this is an illusion. And this move is dubious, queen g5, and it seems that some engine also were playing it strangely, because it has a flaw, he says. Knight g6, knight d takes b5, h6, queen h5, rook c5, knight takes d6, beautiful move, queen c6, knight f5, e takes f5, and e takes f5. With 3 pawns for the knight and a strong attack, white would be clearly better, if not for the following spectacular shot. So, you are black in this position, take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and try to find what black played in the actual game. Try to find what is black's next move, okay? Black's next move is, ta-da! Queen takes g2, boom! Obviously, I think by now you have seen it, that there is a fork, king take g2, knight f4, king f1, knight take h5. And obviously at this point things are going bad for white, right? Let's see how it continues. Rook takes e8, rook takes e8, rook takes d7, rook takes f5. And here there is a symbol which says that black is better. There is also a diagram, and he says white has little compensation for black exchange for pawn material plus, which is significant with a queen's gun. White continues with rook a7, and now there is a move that he doesn't give explanation if it's bad, knight f4, but he says that this move, rook d8, would have given black a final advantage. So, I don't know why. Knight f4, bishop a4, which is dubious, he wrote it finally. Oh my god, escape. No, sorry, it was rook b8. Oops, I'm sorry, the chessboard was moved. Okay, let's go back. Okay, after rook b8, bishop c6, and now there is rook c5. And this it gives a final decisive advantage for black. From this point there are the following moves. Rook b7, rook takes b7, bishop takes b7, king f8, f3, rook h5, king f2, g5, bishop e4, rook takes h2, king e3, king e7, b4, a takes b, a takes b, king d6, b5, king c5, and bishop c6. Rook takes c2, knight e4 check, king b6, and now, strangely, he played knight d6 and resigned. Why he resigned? Because maybe you can take a minute and see why. It's not a very difficult continuation to see, but it's about 2-3 moves long. So you need to decide if you will be able to see it. It's rook e2, king d4, rook d2, king e5, knight g6. And of course now this knight is gone. So I hope you enjoyed this game, and I will show you another couple of games from this book because I think it's interesting to know this great senior grandmaster, Kaufman, that has spent all his life in chess, programming a great engine, also giving the evaluation of the pieces a little different. And that was really a smart and interesting idea. Practically he said that not all the pieces have the same value during the game. It's not always free and free. They acquire different values depending on how the position is, in fact. So it makes sense. Okay, let's go to the next game by Kaufman so we can see how amazing his games were.